Your bank account balance right now is a receipt. Read it. That number is not random. It is not bad luck. It is not the economy. That number is the sum total of every thought you have ever had about money, every belief, every expectation, every fear. It has all been tallied and deposited into that account. Most people will never accept this. They will blame their boss. They will blame their parents. They will blame the government. They will chase raises and side hustles and budget hacks. And they will stay broke. Because the leak is not in their wallet. The leak is in their skull. What if your income has a ceiling you installed yourself? What if there is an invisible boundary around your financial life that you cannot see but obey every single day? What if you could find that boundary, name it, and tear it down? Here is what most people do not know. There is a specific phrase you repeat about money. You might say it out loud. You might only think it. But you repeat it constantly. And that phrase is costing you 6 figures over your lifetime. We are going to find that phrase. We are going to examine it, and we are going to replace it. Here is something else. Wealthy people do not just think differently. They feel differently about the same dollar. Hand a $100 bill to someone who grew up in scarcity and watch their body tense. Watch them grip it. Watch them immediately calculate what bill to pay. Now hand that same $100 to someone who grew up in abundance and watch them relax. Watch them consider investment. Watch them feel grateful but not desperate. Same dollar. Completely different experience. That difference in feeling creates a completely different financial future. By the time you finish this audiobook, you will identify the exact age when you inherited your current money story. You will understand why that story still runs the show. And you will have the tools to write a new one. This is not affirmation fluff. This is not think positive and wait for checks to arrive. This is a belief audit. This is a mental renovation. This is a blueprint for completely rebuilding your financial identity from the foundation up. Let us begin with a truth that might be uncomfortable. Your external world is a printout of your internal programming. This is not mystical. This is mechanical. The thoughts you think most consistently create the emotions you feel most frequently. Those emotions drive the decisions you make most often. Those decisions generate the results you experience most commonly. It is a closed loop, and your bank account is the output. Think about it this way. If you believe money is hard to earn, you will feel anxious about pursuing it. That anxiety will cause you to undersell yourself, avoid asking for raises, or stay in safe but underpaying jobs. Those decisions will generate exactly the results your belief predicted. Money will be hard to earn. Your belief becomes a self-fulfilling prophecy. Now, flip it. If you believe money flows to you easily when you provide value, you will feel confident about pursuing opportunities. That confidence will cause you to negotiate boldly, take calculated risks, and position yourself where money is flowing. Those decisions will generate results that confirm your belief. Money will flow more easily. Same person, same skills, same economy. Completely different beliefs generating completely different bank balances. This is the invisible ledger. Every transaction in your life traces back to a thought. Every deposit and every withdrawal was preceded by a belief, an emotion, or an expectation, held consistently over time. You cannot out-earn your programming. You cannot budget your way past your beliefs. You cannot hustle harder than your identity allows. Consider a woman named Rachel. At 34, Rachel had been in the same administrative role for 9 years. She was competent. She was reliable. She was underpaid. Her salary had increased by exactly 11% over nearly a decade, while her responsibilities had tripled. Every time a management position opened, she watched someone else get promoted. Every time she considered asking for a raise, she talked herself out of it. One evening, her husband asked her a simple question. "Why don't you just ask for what you deserve?" Rachel's response was immediate and automatic. She said, "People like us don't make that kind of money." Her husband paused and asked, "What kind of people are we?" Rachel could not answer. She had never examined that belief. She had simply inherited it and lived inside it for 34 years. People like us. Where did that phrase come from? Rachel traced it back to her childhood dinner table. Her father would see expensive cars or large houses and shake his head. "People like us work for people like that," he would say. Not with malice, not even with sadness, just as fact, as identity, as destiny. Rachel's father was not trying to limit her. He was trying to protect her from disappointment. He was trying to give her realistic expectations. But what he actually gave her was a ceiling, an invisible barrier that she could not see but obeyed every single day. That phrase, "people like us," had cost Rachel hundreds of thousands of dollars over her career. It had prevented her from applying to better jobs. It had stopped her from negotiating harder. It had kept her playing small in a life that was designed for more. And here is the uncomfortable truth. You have a phrase too. Everyone does. Yours might be different than Rachel's, but it is equally powerful and equally invisible. It might be money does not grow on trees. It might be rich people are greedy. It might be, I am just not good with money. It might be nothing ever works out for me. What is the phrase you inherited? What is the sentence that runs in the background of every financial decision you make? Take a moment right now and see if you can identify it. Notice what comes up. Notice if you feel resistance to even looking for it. That resistance is a sign that you are getting close to something important. The beliefs we inherit about money are not logical. They are emotional. They were installed before we had the cognitive ability to evaluate them. A 5-year-old cannot analyze economic theory. A 5-year-old can only absorb the emotional atmosphere around money in their household. If money caused fighting, the 5-year-old learned that money causes pain. If money was scarce, the 5-year-old learned that there is never enough. If money was never discussed, the 5-year-old learned that money is shameful or secretive. These childhood installations become the operating system that runs our adult financial life. We do not choose them. We do not examine them. We simply run them. And then we wonder why we keep getting the same results. Let me tell you about Marcus. Marcus grew up in a household where money was always a crisis. His parents were not poor, but they lived as if disaster was always one paycheck away. Every month, there were arguments about bills. Every purchase was followed by guilt. Every windfall was immediately swallowed by some unexpected expense. By the time Marcus was 40, he was earning over $200,000 a year. By any objective measure, he had made it. But his experience of money was identical to his childhood. Every month, there were arguments about bills. Every purchase was followed by guilt. Every windfall was immediately swallowed by some unexpected expense. Marcus had escaped his parents' income level, but not their money consciousness. He had changed the numbers but not the experience. His thermostat was set to financial anxiety, and no matter how much money flowed in, he found ways to return to that set point. This is what I call the thermostat effect. Your unconscious mind has a setting for how much money feels safe and appropriate for someone like you. When you drop below that setting, you hustle harder to get back to it. But when you rise above that setting, something strange happens. You sabotage, you overspend, you make bad investments, you find ways to give the money away. You return to your set point because exceeding it feels dangerous to your identity. Marcus made $200,000 a year, but somehow always felt broke. He bought things he did not need. He invested in opportunities he did not research. He loaned money to people who did not pay it back. His unconscious mind was working perfectly to keep him exactly where he was programmed to be. Here is the question that changed everything for Marcus. He asked himself, what is the most amount of money I can imagine having without feeling like a fraud? His honest answer shocked him. About $70,000. That was his set point. That was what felt real and safe and appropriate for someone like him. Everything above, that felt borrowed, temporary, dangerous. What is your set point? If I asked you right now to name the annual income that feels comfortable and sustainable for someone with your background, your education, your circumstances, what number would you say? Not the number you wish for, not the number you are aiming for, the number that feels true, the number that feels like you. That number is your current ceiling, and you built it with thoughts. The good news is that anything built with thoughts can be rebuilt with different thoughts. You are not stuck with your parents' programming. You are not limited by your childhood experiences. You are not doomed to repeat your family's financial patterns. But you cannot change a program you refuse to acknowledge. Awareness precedes transformation. So let us go deeper into this money origin story. Let us examine exactly how your current beliefs were installed and why they have been running the show for so long. Every human being has what I call a money blueprint. This blueprint was drawn primarily between the ages of 3 and 12. During those years, you were watching everything. You were absorbing every comment, every argument, every emotional reaction to financial situations. You were not analyzing these experiences. You were encoding them directly into your subconscious mind. Think back to your childhood home. Picture the kitchen table. Picture family dinners. Picture the moments when money was discussed or when you noticed it being avoided. What was the emotional atmosphere? Was money a source of fighting or a source of freedom? Was it openly discussed or treated like a secret? Was there gratitude for what you had or constant focus on what you lacked? Now picture your parents' faces when bills arrived. Picture their bodies. Were they relaxed or tense? Did they open envelopes with confidence or with dread? Did they pay immediately or let them pile up? These observations were being recorded by your young mind. They were forming the foundation of your financial identity. Think about the phrases you heard. Can we afford that? Money does not grow on trees. We cannot afford that. Do you think I am made of money? Must be nice to be rich. Save for a rainy day. A penny saved is a penny earned. Easy come, easy go. The rich get richer and the poor get poorer. Each of these phrases carries an embedded belief. Some are useful, some are devastating. All of them landed in your subconscious without filtration. All of them have been influencing your financial decisions ever since. I want you to do something right now. Think of the 5 phrases about money that you heard most frequently growing up. Just let them come to you. Do not judge them. Do not analyze them yet. Just notice them. These phrases are clues. They are threads you can pull to unravel your entire money story. My own journey with this started when I identified a phrase that had been running my life without my awareness. The phrase was, "There is never enough." I did not know I believed this. I would have told you I was optimistic about money. I would have said I believed in abundance. But when I actually examined my behavior, when I looked at how I made decisions, when I noticed the anxiety I felt around every purchase, the truth became clear. I was operating from a belief in scarcity. There is never enough. I felt it when I looked at my bank account, no matter how much was in it. I felt it when opportunities arose, as if taking one would mean losing another. I felt it in my body as constant low-grade financial stress, even when there was no rational reason for stress. Tracing this back took time, but eventually I found the source. It was not one dramatic moment. It was hundreds of small moments. It was my mother buying generic brands and explaining we have to be careful. It was my father working overtime and still seeming worried. It was the atmosphere of never quite having enough, even though, objectively, we had plenty. My parents did their best. They were trying to be responsible. They were trying to prepare me for an uncertain world. But what they installed was a program of perpetual insufficiency. And I ran that program faithfully for decades. The moment I identified this program was the moment I could begin to change it. Not instantly, not easily, but consciously. I started catching myself when the never-enough feeling arose. I started questioning it. Is that actually true right now? Is there evidence of not enough, or am I just running an old program? This questioning is the beginning of freedom. You cannot delete your childhood programming, but you can upgrade it. You can install new beliefs on top of old ones. You can create new neural pathways that become stronger than the old ones through repetition and emotion. But here is what most people miss. You cannot install new programming while running the old programming unconsciously. You cannot affirm abundance while your body is clenched in scarcity. You cannot think rich while feeling poor. The installation requires alignment between your thoughts and your feelings. This brings us to the 2 operating systems available to every human being. Every financial decision you make, every opportunity you evaluate, every risk you consider, runs through one of 2 filters. Either you process it through scarcity, or you process it through abundance. These are not just attitudes. They are complete operating systems that generate radically different outputs from the same inputs. Scarcity says there is a limited amount of wealth, and if someone else gets more, there is less available for me. Abundance says wealth is constantly being created, and someone else's success has no impact on my ability to succeed. Scarcity asks, how do I protect what I have? Abundance asks, how do I create more value? Scarcity avoids risk because loss is catastrophic. Abundance embraces calculated risk because recovery is always possible. Scarcity negotiates from desperation. Abundance negotiates from confidence. Scarcity sees competition. Abundance sees collaboration. The same opportunity presented to a scarcity mind and an abundance mind will generate completely different responses. The scarcity mind will focus on what could go wrong, how much could be lost, why this is probably too good to be true. The abundance mind will focus on what could go right, how much could be gained, why this might be exactly the opportunity needed. Neither mind is being dishonest. Both are accurately describing their reality. But one reality leads to contraction, and the other leads to expansion. One reality leads to your current bank balance, and the other leads to the balance you desire. I want to be very clear about something. Abundance thinking is not delusional thinking. It is not ignoring risks or refusing to do due diligence. It is not spending money you do not have because you believe more is coming. That is not abundance. That is denial wearing a costume. True abundance thinking is grounded and realistic. It simply starts from a different premise. Instead of asking, "Can I afford this?" it asks, "How can I afford this?" Instead of assuming limitation, it assumes possibility and then does the work to confirm or deny that possibility. Here is a practical example. Let us say an investment opportunity presents itself that requires $50,000. A scarcity mind says, "I do not have $50,000, so this opportunity is not for me." A scarcity mind closes the door immediately based on current circumstances. An abundance mind says, "I do not have $50,000 right now. How might I access that amount? Who could I partner with? What assets could I leverage? Is there a smaller entry point? What would I need to do over the next 6 months to have that amount available?" The abundance mind might ultimately decide not to pursue the opportunity, but the decision comes from exploration and evaluation rather than automatic exclusion. The abundance mind gives itself the chance to find a way. The scarcity mind never even looks. This is why two people with identical incomes can have completely different financial trajectories. One sees doors, one sees walls, and both are correct about what they see because perception shapes reality. Let me share how this played out in the life of a client I worked with years ago. Her name was Janet. Janet was a single mother of 2 working as a nurse. Her income was steady but modest. Her expenses were constant. Every month was a precise calculation to make everything balance. Janet came to me because she wanted to buy a home. She had been renting for 12 years. She had no down payment saved. Her credit was acceptable, but not excellent. By every conventional measure, home ownership was out of reach. But something in Janet had shifted. She had been doing the internal work. She had been examining her money story. She had been practicing abundance thinking. And she had decided that she was going to buy a home, even though she had no idea how. When Janet told me her goal, I asked her a question. If buying a home was absolutely possible, what would your next step be? Notice I did not ask if she thought it was possible. I assumed possibility and asked her to operate from that assumption. Janet thought for a moment and said I would research first-time homebuyer programs. So she did, and she discovered programs she had never known existed. Down payment assistance, grants for healthcare workers, special financing for single parents. The doors had always been there. She had simply never looked for them, because her scarcity programming had told her there was no point. Over the next 18 months, Janet bought a home. She used a combination of 3 different programs, negotiated seller concessions, and found a property that needed cosmetic work that she could do herself. Her mortgage payment ended up being $40 less than her rent. Nothing external changed for Janet during those 18 months. Her income was the same. Her expenses were the same. Her children were the same age with the same needs. What changed was her operating system. She stopped running scarcity and started running abundance, and abundance showed her doors that scarcity had insisted were walls. What doors have you convinced yourself are walls? What possibilities have you excluded without investigation? What opportunities have you dismissed simply because your current circumstances seem to disqualify you? Are you certain those disqualifications are real, or are you running a program that was installed before you had the ability to evaluate its accuracy? Let us dig into the mechanism that keeps you returning to your financial set point, no matter how much your external circumstances change. This thermostat effect is one of the most powerful and least understood forces in financial psychology. Your identity is your most precious possession. Your psyche will do almost anything to protect it. When your beliefs about who you are and your behaviors about how you act align, you feel coherent and safe. When they misalign, you feel cognitive dissonance, anxiety, and a powerful drive to restore harmony. Here is the problem. If your identity says, "I am a person who struggles with money," and you suddenly have a lot of money, your identity is threatened. You do not feel happy. You feel anxious. You feel like a fraud. You feel like this money is somehow wrong or temporary or dangerous. This is not logical. This is primal. Your brain cannot distinguish between a threat to your physical safety and a threat to your psychological identity. Both trigger the same alarm systems. Both generate the same drive to return to safety. And what feels safe? Your set point, your familiar struggle, your known financial territory. This is why lottery winners go bankrupt at alarming rates. It is not that they are stupid. It is that their identity was not upgraded along with their bank account. They received external abundance while running internal scarcity. The dissonance was intolerable. Their unconscious mind worked frantically to restore balance, and restore balance it did by eliminating the threatening wealth. This is why people self-sabotage at the brink of financial breakthrough. They get the promotion and immediately overspend. They close the big deal and immediately make a terrible investment. They inherit money and immediately find ways to lose it. Their identity demands it. Understanding this mechanism is crucial because it reveals why external strategies alone cannot create lasting financial change. You can read every money management book. You can follow every budgeting tip. You can execute every wealth-building strategy. And you will still return to your set point if you do not change the identity that determines that set point. The question then becomes, how do you change an identity? How do you upgrade your thermostat setting? How do you expand your sense of what is safe and appropriate for someone like you? The answer is gradual and intentional. You cannot leap from a $50,000 identity to a $500,000 identity overnight. The gap is too large. The cognitive dissonance too severe. Your unconscious mind will revolt. But you can stretch. You can expand incrementally. You can take your current set point and nudge it upward through consistent practice. Here is a practical approach. Take your current income and add 20%. If you make $50,000, imagine making $60,000. Do not go to $1 million. Do not imagine private jets. Stay close to your current reality, but slightly expanded. Now spend time genuinely imagining this 20% increase. What would you do differently? Where would you live? What would you wear? How would you spend your Saturdays? Make it real and specific and detailed. As you imagine this, notice your body. Does 20% more feel possible? Does it feel safe? Does it feel like you? Or do you notice resistance, disbelief, a sense of unreality? Work with this level until it feels natural, until 60,000 feels like your identity instead of a stretch. This might take days or weeks or months. There is no rush. You are reprogramming years of conditioning. Be patient with the process. Once 60,000 feels like your natural set point, add another 20%. Now you are at 72,000. Repeat the process. Imagine, embody, normalize, then stretch again. This is how you raise your thermostat without triggering alarm systems. This is how you expand your identity gradually enough that your unconscious mind cooperates rather than sabotages. This is how lasting financial change actually happens. But there is another piece to this that most people overlook. Your identity is not only shaped by your internal imagination, it is also shaped by your external expression. And one of the most powerful expressions of identity is language. The words you speak about money are not neutral descriptions of reality. They are creative forces that shape your reality. Every time you say, "I cannot afford that," you reinforce an identity of insufficiency. Every time you say money is tight, you tighten the flow of money into your life. Every time you say must be nice, referring to someone else's wealth, you place yourself outside the category of people who can have nice things. This is not magical thinking. This is neurological reality. The language you use creates neural pathways. Repeated language strengthens those pathways until they become automatic. Your brain literally wires itself according to what you say most often. Consider the phrases most people use habitually. I am broke, I am in debt, I cannot afford it. Money is tight, that is too expensive. I am not good with money, I am just not a money person. Each of these phrases is an identity statement. You are not just describing a temporary condition, you are declaring who you are. And your brain takes you at your word. It organizes your perceptions, your opportunities, and your behaviors to match the identity you have declared. The wealthy do not speak this way, not because they are delusional about their circumstances, but because they understand the creative power of language. Instead of, "I cannot afford that," they say, "How can I afford that?" Instead of "money is tight," they say, "I am redirecting my resources." Instead of "that is too expensive," they say, "that is not where I am investing right now." These are not just semantic differences, they are energetic differences. The scarcity phrases close doors, trigger stress hormones, and reinforce limitation. The abundance phrases open possibilities, maintain calm, and reinforce expansion. I am going to give you a challenge. For the next 7 days, eliminate the phrases "I cannot afford," "money is tight," and "I am broke" from your vocabulary completely. When the situation arises where you would normally use these phrases, pause. Find an alternative expression that is honest but not limiting. You do not have to lie. If you genuinely cannot purchase something right now, you can say that is not in my budget currently, or I am choosing to allocate my resources elsewhere, or that is on my expansion list for the future. All of these are honest. None of them reinforce an identity of perpetual lack. Watch what happens when you make this shift. Notice how differently you feel when you speak about money from possibility rather than limitation. Notice how your body responds. Notice how your mood shifts. And notice, over time, how your circumstances begin to mirror your new language. This brings us to one of the most misunderstood aspects of wealth creation, the role of emotion in financial results. Most people believe the sequence is get the money, then feel good. They think wealth produces happiness and security and peace. They are waiting for external circumstances to generate internal states. But this sequence is backwards. The actual sequence is feel good, then get the money. Internal states generate external circumstances. Emotion precedes manifestation. I know this might sound abstract or even unreasonable, so let me explain the mechanism. Your emotional state determines your decisions. When you feel scarce and afraid, you make conservative, protective, contraction-based decisions. When you feel abundant and secure, you make expansive, opportunity-seeking, growth-based decisions. Over time, these different decisions create completely different financial realities. But it goes even deeper than decision-making. Your emotional state affects what you perceive. When you feel scarce, your attention narrows. You see threats more readily than opportunities. You focus on what could go wrong. You miss possibilities that are right in front of you. When you feel abundant, your attention broadens. You see opportunities more readily than threats. You focus on what could go right. You notice possibilities that scarcity would have hidden. This is not metaphorical. This is documented neuroscience. Negative emotional states narrow attention and focus on problem solving. Positive emotional states broaden attention and focus on possibility finding. Same environment. Different perceptions based entirely on internal state. So here is the question. What emotional state do you typically bring to your financial life? When you think about money, when you review your accounts, when you consider your financial future, what do you feel? If you feel anxiety, worry, stress, or fear, you are bringing a narrowed attention to your financial life. You are missing opportunities. You are focused on problems. You are making decisions from contraction, and you are creating more of what you do not want. If you feel confidence, curiosity, gratitude, or excitement, you are bringing expanded attention to your financial life. You are seeing opportunities. You are focused on possibilities. You are making decisions from expansion, and you are creating more of what you do want. The practical application of this is what I call emotional investing. You deliberately generate the feelings you associate with wealth before the wealth arrives. You do not wait for money to feel good. You feel good to attract money. Let me guide you through a brief visualization that demonstrates this process. Find a comfortable position. Take a slow, deep breath. Let your shoulders drop. Let your jaw relax. Now bring to mind your most desired financial outcome. Not the number in the abstract, but the lived experience. See yourself in that reality. Where are you? What does your environment look like? Notice the details, the furniture, the view, the quality of light. Now notice how you feel in this reality. Feel the security of having more than enough. Feel the freedom of not checking prices before purchasing. Feel the generosity of being able to give without worry. Feel the confidence of knowing you can handle whatever arises. Let these feelings expand in your body. Let them fill your chest. Let them warm your stomach. Let them relax your face into a gentle smile. This is the emotional signature of wealth. This is how you will feel when your financial goals are achieved. And this is how you can feel right now, in this moment, before anything external changes. Stay with this feeling. Breathe it in. Let it become familiar. Let it become normal. This feeling is your new emotional home. This is where you are learning to live. When you open your eyes and return to your current circumstances, see if you can maintain a thread of this feeling throughout your day. See if you can return to it when stress arises. See if you can make it your default rather than your exception. The more time you spend in this emotional state, the more your decisions will align with it. The more your perceptions will match it. The more your circumstances will reflect it. You are not pretending to be wealthy. You are practicing being wealthy. And practice creates reality. There is another emotional practice that amplifies this effect exponentially. It is perhaps the simplest practice I teach, and also the most powerful. It is gratitude. Gratitude is not about being satisfied with less. It is not about giving up your desires. It is not about pretending everything is fine when it is not. Gratitude is a focusing mechanism that shifts your attention from what is missing to what is present, and what you focus on expands. When you are focused on lack, on what you do not have, on how far you are from your goals, you feel scarce. You vibrate at a frequency of not enough, and that frequency attracts more experiences of not enough. When you are focused on abundance, on what you do have, on how much has already been given, you feel wealthy. You vibrate at a frequency of plenty, and that frequency attracts more experiences of plenty. This is why I recommend a daily gratitude practice specifically focused on money and resources. Not just general gratitude, though that helps too. Specific gratitude for financial blessings. Here is how to do it. Every morning before you check your phone, before you start your day, list 5 things you are genuinely grateful for that relate to money or resources. They do not have to be large. They can be as simple as I am grateful for the heat that kept me warm last night. I am grateful for the coffee I am about to drink. I am grateful for the job that pays for this apartment. The key is genuine feeling. Do not just list things mechanically. Actually feel the gratitude. Feel the appreciation. Notice how fortunate you are to have these things. There are people in the world who do not. Allow yourself to truly receive and appreciate what is already here. This practice does several things simultaneously. First, it trains your attention toward abundance. Every day, you are looking for things to appreciate. This is the opposite of the default human tendency to focus on problems. Second, it generates positive emotion before you engage with the challenges of the day. You are front-loading your emotional state with appreciation rather than reactively responding to whatever comes. Third, it sends a signal to your subconscious mind that you are someone who has things to be grateful for. You are reinforcing an identity of having rather than an identity of lacking. I have seen this simple practice transform financial lives, not because gratitude magically deposits money in your account, but because gratitude changes the person who is creating their financial reality. And a changed person creates changed circumstances. Now, let us address something that many people avoid discussing in the context of wealth building: fear. Specifically, the role of fear in keeping you financially stuck. Every human being has financial fears. Fear of running out, fear of making mistakes, fear of being judged, fear of losing what you have, fear of succeeding and having to deal with the consequences. These fears are normal. They are protective mechanisms designed to keep you safe. But here is what most people do not realize. Playing it safe is one of the most expensive decisions you can make. Every time you choose security over opportunity, you pay a price. The price is invisible, so you do not notice it, but it compounds over time into staggering sums. The raise you did not ask for, the business you did not start, the investment you did not make, the negotiation you did not pursue. Each avoidance seemed to cost nothing, Each one cost more than you will ever know. Fear tells you that staying where you are is safe. But staying where you are has its own risks. The risk of regret, the risk of stagnation, the risk of waking up at 65, having played it safe your entire life, and having nothing to show for your caution except a modest pension and a lot of what-ifs. The truth is that risk cannot be avoided. It can only be chosen. You can risk taking action, or you can risk remaining still. Both paths contain uncertainty. One path leads toward your goals, the other leads away from them. I am not suggesting you become reckless. I am not recommending you empty your savings account into the first opportunity that presents itself. That is not courage. That is impulsivity wearing a mask. What I am suggesting is that you develop a different relationship with fear. Instead of letting fear be a stop sign, let it be a directional signal. Fear often points toward exactly what you need to do for your growth. Think about every significant financial advancement in your life, every raise you received, every business you started, every investment that paid off, every move that improved your circumstances. I am willing to bet that every single one of these was preceded by fear. Fear of rejection, fear of failure, fear of the unknown. The advancement came not because the fear disappeared, but because you acted despite the fear. You felt the resistance and moved forward anyway. That is what courage is. Not the absence of fear, but action in the presence of fear. So here is a practice for building your fear tolerance. Make a list of 10 financial actions you have been avoiding because they feel scary. These might include asking for a raise, starting a side business, investing in the market, having a money conversation with your spouse, or applying for a higher-paying job. List them all. Now rank these actions by fear level, 1 being mildly uncomfortable, 10 being terrifying. Start with an action ranked around 3 or 4, something that feels stretchy but not paralyzing. Commit to taking that action within the next 7 days. Not thinking about it, not planning for it, taking it. Feel the fear. Do it anyway. Then notice what happens. Notice that you survived. Notice that the worst-case scenario probably did not occur. Notice that you are now slightly more capable of handling discomfort. After completing one action, move to the next. Gradually work your way up the fear ladder. Each step builds capacity for the next. Each action proves that fear is a liar. It promises catastrophe and delivers growth. This brings us to a fundamental truth about wealth building that most people miss entirely. Strategy is secondary to identity. What you do matters far less than who you are being while you do it. Most financial advice focuses on tactics. Save this percentage, invest in these vehicles, follow this budget. These tactics are not wrong, but they are incomplete. They assume the person implementing them has the identity to sustain them. If you have a poor person's identity, you can follow rich person tactics and still end up poor. You will find ways to deviate. You will sabotage. You will return to your set point. The tactics will not stick because they do not match who you believe you are. But if you have a wealthy person's identity, almost any reasonable tactic will work. You will follow through. You will adjust when needed. You will maintain discipline because discipline is simply who you are. The tactics will stick because they match your self-concept. So how do you build a wealthy identity before you have the wealth? You work backward from the future. I want you to imagine yourself 10 years from now, living the financial reality you desire. This future version of you has achieved what you are working toward. They have the income, the savings, the investments, the lifestyle. See them clearly. What do they look like? How do they carry themselves? What is their energy? Now ask this future self some questions. How do you think about money? How do you make financial decisions? What is your daily routine? How do you handle setbacks? What beliefs do you hold that I do not yet hold? What habits have you installed that I have not yet installed? Listen to the answers. Your future self is not a stranger. They are you with upgraded software. They can tell you exactly what needs to change because they have already changed it. Now comes the important part. Start acting as your future self acts today. Not someday. Not when you have the money. Today. If your future self wakes up early to review finances and plan the day, start waking up early now. If your future self invests consistently, regardless of market conditions, start investing consistently now with whatever amount you have. If your future self negotiates confidently, start practicing confident negotiation now. This is not fake it until you make it. This is identity embodiment. You are not pretending to be someone you are not. You are practicing being someone you are becoming. The actions are real. The discipline is real. Only the external results are delayed, and they will catch up. I worked with a man named David, who applied this principle rigorously. David was earning $42,000 a year as a customer service representative. He wanted to earn 6 figures. But more than that, he wanted to feel like a person who earns 6 figures. I asked David to describe that person, the 6-figure David. What does he do that current David does not do? David said 6-figure David reads business books. Current David watches television. 6-figure David has a morning routine. Current David hits snooze. 6-figure David invests every month. Current David spends every dollar. 6-figure David networks proactively. Current David waits to be invited. I told David to become 6-figure David now. Not when he has the money, not when he gets the promotion. Now. David started reading business books during his lunch break. He created a morning routine with visualization and planning. He automated an investment of $50 a month, which was all he could manage, but proved he was serious. He started attending networking events and introducing himself to people above his current level. Within 18 months, David had a new job earning $67,000. Within 3 years, he broke 6 figures. The external results caught up to the identity he had been embodying. Did reading books directly cause the raise? Did networking directly create the opportunity? Maybe. Maybe not. What definitely happened is that David became a different person, a more valuable person, a person that employers wanted to promote and competitors wanted to hire. The identity created the circumstances. Who is the future version of you that already has the financial life you want? And what is one thing you can do today to start being that person? Now let us discuss something that might seem disconnected from wealth building, but is actually central to it. Your environment, the physical spaces you inhabit, the media you consume, the people you surround yourself with. Your environment is constantly programming you. Every item in your home is sending a message to your subconscious. Every conversation you have is reinforcing certain beliefs. Every piece of content you consume is shaping your expectations. If your environment is cluttered and chaotic, your mind mirrors that clutter and chaos. If your social circle complains constantly about money, you absorb that complaint frequency. If the media you consume focuses on crisis and fear, you internalize that crisis and fear. You cannot outthink your environment. Your willpower is limited. Your environment is constant. Over time, environment wins. So here is a practical exercise. Walk through your home and workplace with fresh eyes. Pretend you are a stranger visiting for the first time. What does this environment say about the person who lives or works here? Does it say this person is organized and capable? Or does it say this person is overwhelmed? Does it say this person values quality and takes care of their things? Or does it say this person makes do with broken things and visual clutter? Does it say this person is going somewhere? Or does it say this person has given up? I am not suggesting you need expensive things. I am suggesting you need intentional things. Every item in your environment should either be useful or beautiful, ideally both. Everything else is visual noise that drains your energy and signals settling to your subconscious. This extends to digital environments as well. Look at your social media feeds. What percentage of content is aspirational, educational, or uplifting? What percentage is complaining, fear-mongering, or time-wasting? Your brain does not distinguish between real experiences and consumed content. If you spend hours watching people argue about politics, your brain processes that as hours spent in conflict. If you spend hours learning from people who have achieved what you want, your brain processes that as mentorship. Cure it ruthlessly. Unfollow accounts that do not serve your growth. Subscribe to content that expands your possibilities. Let your digital environment be as intentional as your physical environment. And then there are the people. This is perhaps the most important and most difficult element of environment design. You become the average of the 5 people you spend the most time with. This is not just a cute saying, it is psychological reality. The people around you normalize certain behaviors and beliefs. If your 5 closest friends struggle financially and complain about it, financial struggle seems normal. If your 5 closest associates are building wealth and discussing opportunities, wealth building seems normal. Normal is powerful because normal is easy. Abnormal requires constant effort. Now, I am not saying abandon your friends and family. Relationships have value beyond their financial utility. But I am saying, be intentional about exposure. Make sure you are spending time with people who have what you want and think how you want to think. This might mean joining a mastermind group. It might mean attending industry events. It might mean finding a mentor. It might mean consuming more content from people who embody your financial goals. Find ways to bring elevated thinking into your regular experience. There is a famous story about a young man who asked a billionaire for advice. The billionaire said, "Tell me who you spend your time with, and I will tell you your future." The young man listed his 5 closest friends. The billionaire nodded and said, "You will be the average of those 5. If you want a different future, you need different people. This is not elitism. This is physics. Proximity drives influence. Influence shapes identity. Identity determines results." Let me introduce you to the concept of wealth rituals. These are daily practices that reinforce your abundance programming at the deepest level. They are not occasional inspirational activities. They are non-negotiable appointments with your future self. The morning is the most important time for ritual because it sets the tone for everything that follows. What you think and feel in the first hour of waking becomes the filter through which you experience the entire day. Most people start their day reactively. They wake up, check their phone, and immediately begin responding to other people's priorities. They fill their minds with news, notifications, and demands before they have set their own direction. By the time they leave for work, they are already stressed, scattered, and behind. Wealthy people tend to start their day proactively. They wake up, protect their first hour, and fill it with intentional practices that prime their minds for success. By the time they engage with the world, they have already established their internal state. They engage from a position of centered power rather than reactive chaos. Here is a morning wealth ritual structure that I recommend. Adjust it to fit your life, but include each element. First, upon waking, before you touch your phone, take 3 slow breaths and set an intention for the day. This can be a single word or a short phrase that captures how you want to be. Something like abundance, opportunity, confident creation, or easeful prosperity. Say it to yourself. Feel it in your body. Second, spend 5 to 10 minutes in visualization. Close your eyes and see your financial goals as already achieved. Do not just picture numbers in accounts. Picture the lived experience. See yourself doing the things you would do. Feel the emotions you would feel. Make it vivid and specific and sensory. Third, practice gratitude. List 5 specific things you appreciate about your financial life, past, present, or pending. Actually feel the appreciation. Let it warm your chest. Fourth, review your most important financial action for the day. There should be one thing each day that moves you toward your goals. Identify it, commit to it, visualize yourself completing it successfully. Fifth, state your identity affirmations. These are present tense declarations of who you are becoming. I am someone who attracts wealth easily. I am someone who makes excellent financial decisions. I am someone whose income increases every year. State these not as wishes, but as facts. This entire ritual can be done in 15 to 20 minutes. The investment is small. The returns are enormous. The evening is equally important, but often overlooked. How you end your day programs, what your subconscious mind works on overnight. If you go to sleep stressed about finances, your brain marinating in scarcity, you will wake up still stressed and still scarce. Here is an evening ritual to consider. Before bed, take 5 minutes to review your day. Identify 3 financial wins, no matter how small. Maybe you resisted an impulse purchase. Maybe you sent an email about an opportunity. Maybe you learned something new about investing. Find 3 things to acknowledge. Then release any financial stress or worry. Consciously decide that you have done what you could do today. Tomorrow brings new opportunities. There is nothing productive about carrying anxiety into your sleep. Finally, state an evening affirmation. Something like, I release all financial worry and trust that everything is working out for my highest good. As I sleep, my subconscious mind attracts wealth and abundance. Let this be the last thought before you drift off. These rituals are not magical incantations. They are psychological tools. They work by consistently directing your attention toward abundance, generating positive emotion, and reinforcing an identity of wealth. Done daily, they reprogram your subconscious mind more effectively than any single financial strategy. We have covered a lot of ground, but there is one more crucial element to discuss: the role of giving and receiving in wealth creation. This is what I call the overflow principle. Many people have a conflicted relationship with wealth because they see money as something to accumulate and hoard. More for me means less for others. Getting mine requires taking from someone. This zero-sum thinking creates guilt around accumulation and greed around protection. But wealth does not work this way. Money is not a fixed pie. It is energy in motion. The more it circulates, the more it multiplies. The more you give, the more you receive. Not as magical karma, but as mathematical reality. When you spend money, you are paying someone for goods or services. That payment becomes their income. They spend their income paying others. Those others spend theirs. A single dollar can generate $10 of economic activity as it circulates. Spending is not losing. It is circulating. When you give money generously, you create goodwill, strengthen relationships, and signal to your subconscious that there is plenty. You do not give from lack or obligation. You give from overflow and joy. This giving creates energetic space for more to flow in. When you receive money gracefully, you allow wealth to complete its circuit. Many people are good at giving but terrible at receiving. They deflect compliments. They refuse gifts. They undercharge for their work. This receiving block restricts the flow of wealth into their lives. True financial abundance requires mastery of the complete cycle. Earning with confidence, saving with intention, spending with consciousness, giving with generosity, receiving with grace. When all elements flow freely, wealth circulates without restriction. Here is a practice for developing circulation capacity. This week, do 3 things. First, spend money on something that brings you joy without guilt. Do not overthink it. Just buy something you want and receive it fully. Second, give something of value to someone without expectation. This could be money, time, or skill. Give freely and release any attachment to reciprocation. Third, accept the next compliment, gift, or offer you receive without deflection. Say thank you and nothing more. Do not explain why you do not deserve it. Do not offer something back immediately. Just receive. Notice how each of these actions feels. Notice where you experience restriction or discomfort. These feelings reveal your circulation blocks. The practices expand your capacity for flow. We have journeyed through a complete transformation of how you think about money. From the invisible ledger of your thoughts to the childhood programming that installed your current beliefs. From the 2 operating systems of scarcity and abundance to the thermostat effect that keeps you returning to your set point. From the creative power of language to the primacy of emotion in financial creation. From the courage premium of embracing risk to the identity work that precedes all results. From environmental design to daily rituals to the overflow principle of circulation, this is not light work. This is a fundamental rewiring of how you relate to one of the most powerful forces in human society. It requires awareness, consistency, and patience. It requires doing things that feel uncomfortable. It requires becoming someone new. But you are ready. The fact that you have listened this far proves your commitment. Most people give up when confronted with internal work. They want the external fix, the tactic, the shortcut. You understand that there is no shortcut to sustainable wealth. There is only transformation. Let us take a moment to inventory what has shifted for you during this journey. Think back to who you were when you pressed play on this audiobook. What did you believe about money then that you are questioning now? What programs have you identified that were running without your awareness? What new possibilities have opened up that were invisible before? Write these down. Track your progress. These shifts are the beginning of a complete financial renovation. And here is what I need you to understand about what comes next. The practices in this audiobook are not one-time exercises. They are ongoing disciplines. Wealth is not a destination you arrive at and then relax. Wealth is a frequency you must maintain. It is a muscle you must continue to exercise. The scarcity programming that has been running for years or decades will not disappear. Because you listened to this audiobook once, it will fade with consistent practice over time. But if you return to old habits, old language, old emotional patterns, the scarcity programming will reassert itself. Think of this like tuning a radio. Right now, you have been tuned to a certain station, a scarcity frequency. This audiobook has started to turn the dial. You are picking up different signals, abundance signals, but the dial can slip back if you do not hold it in place. Your morning ritual holds the dial. Your evening practice holds the dial. Your language choices hold the dial. Your environmental design holds the dial. Your willingness to feel fear and act anyway holds the dial. Consistency is not optional. It is essential. I want to leave you with a vision of what your life can become when you commit to this work. Not in the distant future, in the coming months and years. Imagine waking up and feeling genuinely good about your financial situation. Not because everything is perfect, but because you know you are on the right path. You are growing. You are expanding. You are becoming the person who creates wealth, rather than just hoping for it. Imagine looking at your bank account and feeling gratitude instead of anxiety. Feeling pride in what you have built rather than shame about what is missing. Feeling excited about the future rather than worried about running out. Imagine having conversations about money that come from confidence rather than insecurity. Negotiating your worth because you know your worth. Making decisions from abundance rather than desperation. Seeing opportunities everywhere because you are tuned to receive them. Imagine being someone who creates jobs, supports causes, helps family members, and contributes to communities. Imagine wealth flowing through you rather than sticking to you. Imagine being a channel of prosperity rather than a hoarding container. This is not fantasy. This is available. Not because the universe owes you anything, but because you are willing to do the internal work that generates external results. Because you understand that your bank account is a mirror and you have decided to change what it reflects. Remember where we started. Your checking balance right now is a receipt, proof of every money thought you have had for years. That was true when we began, and it remains true now. But something has changed. You are no longer unconscious about this process. You understand how thoughts become transactions. You know the programming that has been running. You have tools to install new programming. You are no longer the person who wonders if wealth is possible. You are becoming the person who knows it is inevitable. Because you have seen behind the curtain. You have found the thermostat and learned how to raise it. You have identified the language that was limiting you and begun to speak differently. You have tasted the emotional signature of abundance and know you can return to it any time. Starting tonight, your first thought about money will be chosen rather than inherited. Tomorrow, your financial decisions will come from expansion rather than contraction. Next month, opportunities will appear that were invisible before because you are now tuned to see them. Next year, your bank balance will reflect your new programming. Your financial future is no longer a mystery, it is a mirror. Look into it and see the wealth you have decided to become. You might be wondering what happens next. What happens when you finish this audiobook and return to your regular life? Let me be direct with you about something important. The insights you have gained will begin to fade almost immediately if you do not anchor them with action. Within 24 hours, I want you to complete 3 tasks. First, identify your money phrase, the inherited sentence that has been running your financial life. Write it down. Look at it. Feel the weight of how much it has cost you. Then write a replacement phrase, an abundant phrase that you will begin to use instead. Second, calculate your current thermostat setting. What is the annual income that feels safe and appropriate for someone like you? Write down that number, then write down the number that represents a 20% increase. This is your next set point target. Third, begin your morning ritual tomorrow. Set your alarm 15 minutes earlier. Protect that time. Use it for intention, visualization, gratitude, and affirmation. Do not wait until you feel ready. Act your way into readiness. These 3 actions will anchor what you have learned. They will prove to your subconscious mind that you are serious about change. They will begin the process of turning insight into transformation. And as you go forward, remember this truth. You are not fixing something broken. You are upgrading something that was simply running outdated software. There is nothing wrong with you. You have just been operating with programs that were installed before you had the ability to choose them. Now you can choose. Now you are aware. Now you have tools. The question is simply whether you will use them consistently enough to create lasting change. I believe you will. I believe you are ready. I believe your financial transformation is not just possible, but inevitable, because you are no longer leaving it to chance. You are taking responsibility for your programming. You are becoming conscious about what you think, what you feel, what you say, and who you are being. This is the wealth mindset, not a get-rich-quick scheme, not a manifestation trick, a fundamental shift in how you relate to money, a rewiring of your beliefs, a recreation of your identity, a rebuilding from the foundation up. Your bank account has always been a reflection of your thoughts. Now you know how to change the reflection by changing the thoughts. Now you understand that external wealth begins with internal programming. Now you have a map for the territory of your own financial transformation. Use this map. Trust this journey. Do the work. And watch as your life becomes the physical evidence of your mental transformation. Thank you for investing this time in yourself. Thank you for being willing to look at uncomfortable truths. Thank you for committing to change what most people refuse to examine. Your financial life will never be the same because you are no longer the same. You have been upgraded. You have been expanded. You have been shown what is possible. Now go create it. One thought at a time. One feeling at a time. One decision at a time. One day at a time. Until your bank account tells a story so different from your childhood programming that even you can barely believe it. But you will believe it, because you will have built it, consciously, intentionally, thought by thought, word by word, choice by choice. This is the wealth mindset, and it is now yours. There is something I want to address before we fully conclude. Something that often comes up when people begin this work. It is the voice of skepticism, the part of you that has been listening and nodding, but also wondering if this really applies to you, if this really works, if your situation is somehow different. I want to honor that voice. Skepticism is not your enemy. It is a protective mechanism that has served you well. It has kept you from being gullible, from falling for scams, from believing everything you hear. That voice has value. But here is what I want you to consider. Has that skeptical voice ever prevented you from trying something that could have helped you? Has it ever kept you safe, but also kept you stuck? Has it ever protected you from failure while simultaneously protecting you from success? The skeptical voice does not distinguish between genuine threats and growth opportunities. It treats all new information with the same suspicion. This means it will be skeptical of the very beliefs and practices that could transform your financial life. So, I am not asking you to silence that voice. I am asking you to give these ideas a genuine test. 30 days. Commit to the practices for 30 days and observe the results. Not just external results, internal results. How you feel about money, how you talk about it, what you notice in your environment, what opportunities appear. After 30 days, let your direct experience inform your conclusion. If nothing has changed, you have lost nothing but 30 days of experimentation. If something has changed, you have gained a new pathway to wealth. Fair skeptics test before they conclude. They run experiments rather than making assumptions. I am asking you to be a fair skeptic, to give your own transformation a genuine chance. And here is something else worth acknowledging. You might be afraid that this works. It sounds counterintuitive, but fear of success is often more powerful than fear of failure. If you remain stuck, at least you know what to expect. Your current situation is familiar. Uncomfortable, perhaps, but known. If you transform, everything changes. Your relationships might shift. Your identity will shift. You will have to let go of certain comfortable complaints. You will have to step into a larger version of yourself. Some people unconsciously sabotage their own success because staying small feels safer. Because growth means change, and change means uncertainty, and uncertainty feels dangerous. If this resonates, I want you to know that you are not alone. Many people experience this, and the way through is not to pretend the fear does not exist, but to acknowledge it and move forward anyway. Yes, your life will change when your finances transform. Yes, that change will require adjustment. Yes, some people in your current life might have difficulty with your growth. This is true. And it is also true that you deserve to live your full potential. That playing small serves no one. That the world needs you to become who you are capable of becoming. The fear of success is really a fear of change. And change is unavoidable. You are changing right now, with every moment that passes. The only question is whether you will change deliberately toward your goals or accidentally away from them. Choose deliberate change. Choose conscious growth. Choose the version of yourself that is waiting on the other side of this transformation. They are counting on you to show up. They are reaching back through time, inviting you forward. Do not let fear keep you from meeting them. I also want to speak directly to anyone who is listening while in a difficult financial situation. Anyone who has been nodding along while also thinking. This is easier said than done when you are worried about next month's rent. I see you. I hear you. And I want you to know that these principles apply especially to you. Not in some future state when things are more stable. Now. In fact, scarcity is easiest to transform when it is most obvious. When you are comfortable, you can ignore your programming. When you are struggling, your programming is on full display. You can see exactly what beliefs are running. You can feel the emotions that are driving your decisions. You have direct access to the patterns that need to change. This is not to minimize real hardship. There are genuine systemic barriers. There are circumstances outside your control. There are sometimes immediate needs that require practical solutions rather than mindset work. But even within challenging circumstances, mindset matters enormously. Two people in identical difficult situations will navigate them completely differently based on their beliefs. One will see temporary hardship and look for exits. The other will see permanent limitation and stop looking. The practices in this audiobook do not require money to implement. They require attention. They require consistency. They require willingness. If you are struggling financially, you can still choose your thoughts, direct your emotions, shift your language, and begin to embody a different identity. You can do these things while taking practical action to improve your situation. Often the practical solutions appear because of the mindset shift. The job lead comes after you start believing you deserve better. The opportunity emerges after you begin looking for opportunities. The help arrives after you shift out of victim consciousness into creative agency. I am not blaming anyone for their circumstances. I am empowering everyone to change their circumstances from the inside out. This works regardless of starting point. It works especially well when the starting point is difficult, because the contrast with where you are going is so clear. So if you are listening from a hard place, know that you are exactly where you need to be to begin this work. Your current circumstances are the raw material for your transformation. Your current pain is the motivation for your growth. Your current limitations are the boundaries that you will expand beyond. You do not need to wait until things are better to start becoming someone who creates better things. You start now. You start where you are. You start with what you have. And you let the internal shifts generate the external improvements. Let us talk about the compound effect of these practices. In the beginning, the changes feel small, almost imperceptible. You catch a scarcity thought and replace it with an abundance thought. You speak about money slightly differently in one conversation. You feel gratitude for 10 seconds instead of anxiety. These seem like tiny shifts, but tiny shifts compound. Day after day, week after week, you're laying down new neural pathways. You are strengthening new patterns. You are weakening old ones. The changes that seem invisible in the moment become undeniable over time. Think about compound interest. A small amount of money invested consistently over decades becomes a fortune. Not because any single deposit was large, because the compounding effect multiplied each small deposit exponentially. Your mindset works the same way. Each small shift in thinking, feeling, and speaking is a deposit in your mental wealth account. The compound effect multiplies these deposits exponentially. In 6 months, you will be thinking in ways that seem impossible now. In a year, you will have an entirely different relationship with money. In 5 years, your internal and external reality will be unrecognizable. But you only get the compound effect if you stay consistent. Miss a day of practice, and you interrupt the compounding. Miss a week, and you may slide backward. Miss a month, and you might need to start over. This is why the practices must become non-negotiable. Not optional activities you do when you remember. Required rituals that are as automatic as brushing your teeth. You would not skip brushing your teeth because you were tired or busy. Do not skip your wealth rituals for those reasons either. The compounding only works if the deposits are consistent. Make them consistent. Protect your practice time. Prioritize your mental programming above almost everything else, because your mental programming generates everything else. Here is a question worth sitting with. What would your life look like if you had started this work 10 years ago? If you had spent the last decade consciously programming wealth beliefs, speaking abundance language, embodying a wealthy identity, where would you be financially right now? This question is not meant to generate regret. The past is unchangeable. The question is meant to illuminate the future. If a decade of this work could create the life you imagined, then starting now gives you that life in 10 years. Starting now means your future self thanks you, rather than wishing you had begun sooner. 10 years from now, you will be somewhere. The question is whether that somewhere reflects conscious creation or unconscious drift. The question is whether you will look back on this audiobook as the turning point or just another thing you listened to and forgot. Make it the turning point. Not someday. Today, not partially. Completely. Not until it gets hard. Through the hard and beyond. You have everything you need to begin. You have awareness of the problem. You have understanding of the mechanism. You have tools for transformation. You have a clear path forward. The only thing you might be lacking is certainty. The certainty that this will work. The certainty that you will follow through. The certainty that your financial life will actually change. And here is the truth about certainty. You will never have it in advance. You cannot be certain of results you have not yet created. Certainty comes after the work, not before. It comes from direct experience, not intellectual understanding. So you begin without certainty. You take action from faith, not blind faith, but informed faith. Faith based on the logic of these principles. Faith based on the experiences of others who have applied them. Faith based on the results you will generate as you practice. With each small result, certainty grows. With each shift in feeling, certainty grows. With each new opportunity that appears, certainty grows. Until one day you look back and realize you no longer need faith because you have evidence. You have proven these principles in your own life. You know they work because you have made them work. But that knowing comes later. Right now, you leap. Right now, you trust. Right now, you begin. Before you are sure. This is the nature of all transformation. It requires moving toward what you cannot yet see. I believe in your capacity to do this. I believe in your inherent worthiness for abundance. I believe in your ability to reprogram years of conditioning and step into a new financial reality. I believe these things not because I know you personally, but because I know human potential. Because I have seen transformation countless times. Because I understand that the same principles that worked for others will work for you. You are not the exception. You are not uniquely incapable of change. You are not doomed to repeat your family patterns. You are a human being with the same neuroplasticity as any other human being. Your brain can change. Your beliefs can change. Your identity can change. Your results can change. The only variable is choice. Will you choose to do this work? Will you choose consistency over convenience? Will you choose growth over comfort? Will you choose your future self over your familiar self? I cannot make that choice for you. No one can. It is the most personal decision you will ever make. But I can tell you this. Every person I have known who made that choice and sustained it transformed their financial life, every single one, without exception. So make the choice. Make it now. Make it consciously and irreversibly. Burn the boats of your old programming. Commit to becoming someone new. And then begin. One breath at a time. One thought at a time. One word at a time. One day at a time. Your wealth mindset is waiting to be claimed. Your abundant future is waiting to be created. Your new bank balance is waiting to reflect your new beliefs. Go make it happen. The mirror is ready for a new image. You are ready to provide it. This is your time. This is your moment. This is your transformation. Beginning now. I want to leave you with one final thought, something to anchor everything we have covered and carry it forward into your daily life. You are not trying to get something you lack. You are learning to recognize what you already are. Abundance is not something outside of you that you must attract into your life. Abundance is your natural state that has been covered over by programming, by fear, by inherited beliefs. The work we have done together is not about adding something new. It is about removing what was never truly yours. The scarcity mindset was never yours. It was handed to you. The limiting beliefs were never yours. They were installed without your consent. The financial ceiling was never yours. It was constructed by others and accepted by default. Beneath all of this programming is who you actually are. A creative being with unlimited potential. A consciousness capable of generating any reality. A source of infinite worth that cannot be diminished by circumstances. When you strip away the false beliefs, what remains is someone who naturally thinks abundantly, speaks powerfully, and creates freely. This is not someone you become. It is someone you uncover, someone you remember, someone you allow to emerge. So as you go forward with these practices, hold this orientation. You are not building something from nothing. You are excavating something that was buried. You are polishing a diamond that was covered in mud. You are revealing a light that was hidden under layers of conditioning. This makes the work lighter. You are not struggling to become something foreign. You are relaxing into something natural. You are not fighting against yourself. You are freeing yourself. Every abundance thought is a recognition of who you really are. Every prosperity feeling is a remembrance of your true nature. Every wealthy action is an expression of your authentic self. You are not becoming wealthy. You are remembering that you already are. And as you remember, your external world has no choice but to reflect what you have recalled. Because external reality is always and only a mirror of internal truth. Wealth is your birthright. Abundance is your nature. Prosperity is your essence. It is time to remember. It is time to reflect. It is time to embody what you have always been. The wealth mindset is not something you adopt. It is something you recognize as yours. Welcome home. Your transformation is complete in the only place it ever needed to happen, within you. Now let it manifest without. One thought, one word, one choice, one day at a time, until the mirror shows what has always been true. You are wealth. You always were. You simply forgot. Now you remember. And everything changes, starting now. Before you go, I want to share some additional stories and deeper explorations of the concepts we have covered. These will reinforce what you have learned and provide more practical examples you can apply immediately. Let me tell you about a conversation I witnessed that perfectly illustrates the difference between scarcity and abundance thinking in real time. Two colleagues, Sarah and Michael, were at lunch discussing their company's recent announcement of budget cuts. Both were in similar positions, similar tenure, similar performance reviews. Both faced the same external reality. Sarah leaned back in her chair and sighed. Here we go again. Every time there's cuts, people like us get hit first. Middle management always takes the fall. I'm probably going to have to update my resume. Do you know anyone hiring? Michael listened, then offered a different perspective. You know what I've been thinking. Budget cuts mean the company is restructuring priorities. They'll need people who can do more with less. I've been documenting all the ways my projects have saved money over the past year. Tomorrow I'm going to request a meeting with my VP to show how my work aligns with the new efficiency focus. Sarah stared at him. You're going to ask for a meeting during layoffs? Are you trying to put a target on your back? Michael shook his head. I'm trying to make myself visible as someone who solves the exact problem they're trying to solve. If I hide and hope they don't notice me, I'm just a line item. If I position myself as part of the solution, I'm an asset worth keeping. 6 weeks later, Sarah was laid off. Michael was promoted to lead a new cost efficiency initiative with a 15% raise. Same company, same cuts, same starting point, completely different thinking, completely different outcomes. The conversation that day took less than 3 minutes, but in those 3 minutes, both Sarah and Michael revealed their financial programming. Sarah's programming said protect and defend. Michael's programming said position and advance. Sarah's programming saw threat. Michael's programming saw opportunity. This is happening constantly in conversations we barely notice. Every time you discuss money, work, or opportunity, you are either reinforcing scarcity or reinforcing abundance. Every casual comment is either a deposit in your limitation account or a deposit in your expansion account. What have your recent conversations about money sounded like? If you recorded yourself for a week and played it back, what would you hear? Would you hear someone who expects good things and positions for them? Or would you hear someone who expects problems and braces against them? This is not about positive thinking in some superficial sense. This is about the underlying assumptions that shape your perception and your positioning. Sarah was not being negative for the sake of being negative. She genuinely believed what she said. Her belief shaped her actions. Her actions shaped her outcome. Let me expand on the thermostat concept with another illustration that might make it more concrete. Imagine a physical thermostat in your home. You set it to 70 degrees. When the temperature drops below 70, the heat turns on. When the temperature rises above 70, the air conditioning kicks in. The system works automatically to maintain the set point. Now imagine you want the house to be 80 degrees. You do not just wait and hope. You do not just think warm thoughts. You walk to the thermostat and change the setting. Once the setting is changed, the system automatically works to achieve and maintain the new temperature. Your financial thermostat works identically. But here is the crucial difference. You cannot see your financial thermostat. It is hidden in your subconscious mind. You cannot walk over and read the current setting. You have to infer it from results. Look at your income over the past 5 years. Notice how it has fluctuated within a relatively narrow range. That range is your thermostat setting. Look at your savings. Notice how they tend to stay around a similar level regardless of income changes. That is your thermostat. Look at your net worth. Notice how windfalls tend to disappear and shortfalls tend to get corrected. your thermostat at work. The reason financial advice often fails is that it ignores the thermostat. Someone tells you to save 20% of your income. You try. It works for a month or two. Then some expense appears. Some opportunity arises. Some urge overtakes you. And you are back to your set point. This is not failure of willpower. This is success of programming. Your thermostat did exactly what it was set to do. It returned you to your predetermined level. Changing the thermostat requires more than behavior modification. It requires identity modification. You have to become someone who naturally maintains a higher setting. When you become that person, the behaviors follow effortlessly. The thermostat maintains the new temperature automatically. Here is a specific exercise for thermostat recalibration. I call it the Wealth Day Simulation. Choose one day this week. On that day, you will live as if you have already achieved your financial goal. Not by spending money you do not have, but by embodying the identity of someone at that level. If your goal is to earn twice your current income, ask yourself, how would someone at that income level move through this day? How would they wake up? What would their morning routine look like? How would they dress? How would they walk? How would they speak to others? How would they make decisions? Embody these qualities for an entire day. Notice how it feels. Notice where you experience resistance. Notice where you feel like a fraud. These feelings reveal the gap between your current thermostat and your target thermostat. Also, notice where it feels natural, where it feels right, where it feels like coming home to yourself. These feelings reveal your true potential that has been suppressed by limited programming. Do this exercise weekly. Each time, you are stretching your identity. Each time, you are proving to your subconscious that this elevated state is safe and appropriate. Each time, you are raising your thermostat setting. Now let me address something that often holds people back from this work. The belief that wanting more is somehow wrong, that ambition is greed, that pursuing wealth makes you a bad person. This belief is itself a scarcity program. It was installed to keep you small, to keep you compliant, to keep you from threatening whatever hierarchy existed in your childhood environment. Think about who benefits from you believing that wanting more is wrong. Who benefits from you staying at your current level? Who taught you to feel guilty about financial ambition? Often these messages came from people who themselves felt stuck, who could not pursue their own dreams, and rationalized this by claiming that pursuing dreams was selfish, who could not achieve wealth and coped by claiming that wealthy people were bad. This is not to blame anyone. People teach what they were taught. They cannot give what they do not have. But it is to recognize that beliefs about the immorality of wealth may not be your own conclusions. They may be inherited defenses. Here is a different way to think about wealth. Money is amplification. It amplifies who you already are. If you are generous, money makes you more generous. If you are kind, money makes you kinder. If you want to help others, money dramatically expands your ability to help. The best argument for good people to pursue wealth is that money in good hands does good things. When ethical people opt out of wealth building, they cede financial power to people with fewer scruples. When conscious people refuse to play the money game, they leave the resources in the hands of the unconscious. Your pursuit of wealth is not selfish, it is responsible. It is your duty to develop your capacity to contribute. And money is one form of capacity. Refusing to build that capacity is not humility. It is an abdication of responsibility dressed up as virtue. So release the guilt, release the shame, release the belief that wanting a better financial life makes you a worse person. You can want more and be good. You can build wealth and be kind. You can pursue abundance and be generous. In fact, abundance makes generosity easier. Scarcity makes it harder. Give yourself permission to want what you want. Your desires are not random. They are signals pointing toward your potential. They are invitations from your future self calling you forward. Trust them. Let us go deeper into the language patterns that either create or destroy wealth. I mentioned earlier that phrases like "I cannot afford it" should be replaced with "How can I afford it?" But there are many more linguistic upgrades available. Consider the phrase, "I have to work for money." This seems innocent enough. Everyone works for money. What is wrong with saying it? The problem is the word "have to." It implies obligation, burden, lack of choice. It positions work as something forced upon you rather than something you choose. It creates subtle resentment toward the very activity that generates your income. An upgraded version might be, "I get to create value in exchange for money," or "I choose to work in ways that attract money," or "Work is how I express my capability and receive compensation." These phrasings position work as opportunity rather than obligation. They create positive association with the activity that produces income. Consider the phrase, "Money does not grow on trees." Parents love this phrase. They use it to teach children about limits, about scarcity, about the need to be careful. But what does this phrase actually teach? It teaches that money is extremely limited. It teaches that getting money is difficult. It teaches that expecting abundance is foolish. A different phrase could be "money flows to those who provide value." This teaches that money is available, but requires contribution. It positions the child as capable of attracting money through their actions, rather than as powerless in the face of fixed scarcity. Consider the phrase, "that is too expensive." When you say something is too expensive, you are making a statement about your limitations. You are declaring that your resources are insufficient for this item. An upgraded phrase might be, "That is not where I am directing my resources right now." This acknowledges the price without declaring personal insufficiency. It positions the situation as a choice rather than a limitation. Consider the phrase, "I will never be able to afford that." Never is such a powerful word. When you say never, you are programming your subconscious for permanent limitation. You are declaring that the future will look exactly like the present or worse. An upgraded version might be, "I have not yet created the path to affording that." The word "yet" implies future possibility. It acknowledges current reality while leaving the door open for growth. Spend this week noticing your language about money. Catch the limiting phrases, write them down, then craft upgrades that are honest but not limiting. Practice the new phrases until they become automatic. This is not about lying to yourself. If you genuinely cannot afford something right now, do not pretend you can. The point is to describe current reality without declaring it permanent, to acknowledge present circumstances without programming future imprisonment. Let me also address the role of visualization in more detail because it is often misunderstood. Visualization is not daydreaming. It is not wishful thinking. It is not fantasy escapism. Proper visualization is a rehearsal of future reality so vivid and specific that your brain cannot distinguish it from actual experience. When you visualize effectively, you activate the same neural networks that would activate if you were actually experiencing what you are imagining. Your brain does not know the difference between a richly imagined experience and a real one. This is why visualization is used by elite athletes, successful entrepreneurs, and peak performers across every field. But visualization only works if it includes certain elements. First, it must be specific. Do not visualize being rich. Visualize exact numbers in exact accounts. Visualize specific purchases. Visualize particular conversations. The more specific, the more powerful. Second, it must be sensory. Do not just see your wealthy life. Hear it, feel it, smell it. What does the leather of your new car smell like? What does the ocean sound like from your beach house? What does the fabric of your upgraded wardrobe feel like? Engage all senses. Third, it must be emotional. This is the most important element. You must feel the feelings of already having achieved your goal, not the longing for it, the having of it. Feel the security, feel the freedom, feel the pride, feel the gratitude. These emotions are the fuel that powers the visualization. Fourth, it must be regular. One visualization session will not reprogram years of conditioning. Daily visualization, even for just 5 minutes, compounds over time into massive shifts. Consistency beats intensity. Fifth, it must be believed. If you visualize while simultaneously thinking this will never happen, you are running competing programs. The skepticism cancels out the visualization. You must find a way to suspend disbelief during the practice, even if doubt returns afterward. Here is a specific visualization exercise to try. Close your eyes and imagine it is exactly 1 year from now. You have achieved your primary financial goal for this year. You are waking up on a morning 1 year from today in your new financial reality. Where are you waking up? Describe the room in detail, the bed, the sheets, the light coming through the windows. What do you see when you open your eyes? What sounds do you hear? Traffic outside, birds, the ocean, silence, children playing. Describe the soundscape of your new morning. You get out of bed. What are you wearing? How does your body feel? Is it rested, strong, energetic? Notice the physical sensations. You walk to check on your finances. Maybe you open an app on your phone. Maybe you log into your computer. Maybe you simply remember the numbers because you know them well. What do you see? What is your bank balance? Your investment account? Your net worth? See the specific numbers clearly. How do you feel seeing these numbers? Let that feeling flood your body. Let it expand in your chest. Let it relax your shoulders. This is your new normal. This is what Tuesday morning feels like in your abundant life. Stay with this feeling. Breathe it in. Let it become familiar. Let it become normal. This feeling is your new emotional home. This is where you are learning to live. When you open your eyes and return to your current circumstances, see if you can maintain a thread of this feeling throughout your day. See if you can return to it when stress arises. See if you can make it your default rather than your exception. This is how you use visualization to reprogram your thermostat. This is how you teach your subconscious what is normal for you. This is how you attract the circumstances that match your new internal image. Now let me discuss something that trips up many people on this journey: the relationship between inspired action and manifestation. Some people misunderstand abundance philosophy to mean that you visualize and wait. You think positive thoughts and opportunities magically appear. You do your morning ritual and checks arrive in the mail. This is not how it works. Visualization and mindset work open you to opportunity. They position you to perceive and act on possibilities. But they do not replace action. They enhance action. The sequence is this. You do the inner work. The inner work shifts your perception. Your shifted perception reveals opportunities you could not see before. You take action on those opportunities. The action produces results. The results reinforce the inner work. The cycle continues and compounds. Notice that action is in the middle of the sequence, not at the end, not optional, essential. The difference between manifesting and working hard is not the presence or absence of action. It is the quality of action. Manifesting produces inspired action, action that feels aligned and almost effortless. Working hard without mindset often produces forced action, action that feels like grinding against resistance. Both require doing things. But inspired action produces better results with less burnout. You work smart, not just hard. You move in the direction of flow, not against it. So after you do your morning visualization, ask yourself, what action feels most aligned today? What is one thing I can do that would move me toward my vision? Then do that thing. Do not wait for perfect conditions. Do not delay until you feel ready. Take the action while the inspiration is fresh. This combination of inner work and outer action is unstoppable. It aligns your thoughts, feelings, and behaviors toward a single outcome. It removes the friction between what you want and what you do. It makes success feel inevitable because you are approaching it from every angle simultaneously. Let me share another story that illustrates the power of this combined approach. A woman named Patricia had been a public school teacher for 22 years. She loved teaching but felt financially trapped. Her salary had barely kept pace with inflation. Her pension would be modest. Her savings were minimal. She felt increasingly anxious about retirement. Patricia discovered mindset work and began applying the principles we have discussed. She started with her money story. She discovered she had inherited a belief from her father that teachers are noble but poor. Teaching is a calling, not a career. You sacrifice financially to serve others. This belief had kept her from ever looking for better paying positions. It had kept her from developing side income. It had kept her convinced that financial struggle was the price of meaningful work. Patricia began to question this belief. She asked herself whether teaching had to mean poverty. She noticed there were teachers who made good livings, private school teachers, corporate trainers, education consultants, curriculum developers, online course creators. The teaching profession was not inherently poor. Her belief about it was. She started visualizing a different reality, one where she used her teaching skills to create abundance, one where her expertise was highly valued and highly compensated. She felt into the emotions of being a well-paid educator. Then she took action, inspired action. She created a small online course teaching study skills to parents of struggling students. She charged $97. She promoted it minimally but consistently. In the first year, it generated $8,000 in additional income. That success expanded her belief about what was possible. She created another course, then another. Within 3 years, her side income exceeded her teaching salary. Within 5 years, she had left teaching to run her education business full-time, earning 3 times what she had made in the classroom. The mindset work did not create the courses. Patricia did. But the mindset work revealed the possibility. It removed the belief that teachers cannot earn well. It opened her perception to opportunities that had been invisible. It gave her the confidence to try and the resilience to persist. This is how it works. Not magic, not passivity. Inner transformation leading to outer action, leading to external results. What opportunity might be sitting right in front of you that your current beliefs are hiding? What possibility might you pursue if you truly believed it could work? What action have you been avoiding because your programming says people like you do not do things like that? As we approach the conclusion of our expanded exploration, I want to return to the question of sustainability. How do you maintain these changes over time? How do you prevent sliding back into old patterns? The answer is environment and ritual. These are the two pillars of lasting change. Your environment includes everything around you: physical space, digital space, social space, media consumption, daily routines. All of this is constantly programming you. If your environment supports scarcity, you will slide toward scarcity. If your environment supports abundance, you will drift toward abundance. Audit your environment ruthlessly. Remove clutter that signals disorder. Upgrade items where affordable to signal quality. Curate social media to be inspirational rather than draining. Choose relationships that elevate rather than commiserate. Design your surroundings to be a constant reminder of who you are becoming. Your rituals are the daily practices that reinforce your new programming. The morning routine, the evening reflection, the gratitude practice, the visualization session, the language monitoring. These rituals are not optional extras. They are the mechanism by which change becomes permanent. A ritual performed daily for 90 days becomes automatic. A neural pathway repeated for 90 days becomes default. This is how long it takes to install new programming at the level where it runs without effort. Commit to 90 days. Not forever, which feels overwhelming. 90 days, which feels achievable. Tell yourself you are running an experiment. You will do these practices every day for 90 days and observe the results. After 90 days, you can decide whether to continue. But here is what will happen. After 90 days, you will not want to stop. The practices will have become part of who you are. The new programming will feel like your real self. Going back will feel like regression. You will continue not because you have to, but because you have become someone who does these things naturally. This is the goal. Not forcing yourself to act wealthy. Becoming someone who is wealthy from the inside out. Not performing abundance. Embodying it. An embodiment means the practices disappear into identity. You no longer do gratitude practice. You are grateful. You no longer do visualization. You see your future. You no longer monitor your language. You speak abundance automatically. This is available to you. It is not reserved for special people. It is not dependent on circumstances. It is the natural result of consistent practice over time. You have everything you need. You have this map. You have these tools. You have this moment to begin. The question is only whether you will use them, whether you will commit, whether you will persist through the inevitable challenges, whether you will become who you were always meant to be. I believe you will. I believe your financial transformation is inevitable because you have done the impossible already. You have seen through the illusion. You have recognized that your bank account is a reflection, not a reality. You have understood that changing the reflection requires changing what is being reflected. Most people never see this. They chase external solutions to internal problems forever. They rearrange circumstances while their programming creates the same patterns in new locations. They work harder at strategies while their beliefs sabotage every tactic. You are not most people. You have taken the red pill. You have glimpsed the matrix of your own mind. You can never unsee what you have seen. Now comes the integration, the daily practice, the gradual embodiment, the compound effect of consistent right action. It will not always be easy. There will be days when old patterns reassert themselves, days when scarcity thinking sneaks back in, days when you wonder if any of this is working. On those days, return to the basics. Do your morning ritual even if you do not feel like it. Practice gratitude even when you feel ungrateful. Visualize your future even when it seems far away. Speak abundance even when your circumstances scream scarcity. These are the days that matter most. Anyone can maintain positive programming when things are going well. The masters maintain it when things are going poorly. They hold the vision when the evidence argues against it. They feel the feelings when circumstances contradict them. This is faith in the truest sense. Not belief without evidence, but commitment despite temporary evidence to the contrary. Knowing that your internal state will eventually manifest externally, even when the external is lagging behind. Hold the vision, trust the process, do the work, and watch as your life transforms from the inside out. You are capable of this. You are worthy of this. You are ready for this. Now, go prove it to yourself. One day at a time. One thought at a time. One choice at a time. Until your bank account tells a story you are proud to have written. Until your financial life reflects the magnificent mind you have cultivated. Until you look in the mirror and see wealth looking back. That day is coming. It is being created right now. By every word of this audiobook you have absorbed, by every insight you have integrated, by every commitment you have made, the wealth mindset is yours. Claim it, live it, be it, and everything else will follow. This is your promise to yourself. This is your declaration to the universe. This is your transformation beginning now. Welcome to your new financial life. You have earned it. Now go create it. There is one more dimension I want to explore with you before we truly conclude. The spiritual dimension of wealth. Now I use the word spiritual carefully. I do not mean religious. I do not mean supernatural. I mean the deeper layer of meaning and purpose that underlies all material accumulation. Many people pursue wealth as an end in itself. They want more money to have more money, more things to have more things, more status to have more status. This pursuit often ends in emptiness. They achieve the numbers and discover the numbers were not the point. The wealth mindset we have been developing is different. It sees money not as the destination, but as the vehicle. Not as the goal, but as the resource. Wealth is fuel for purpose. It is the capacity to make a larger impact. It is the freedom to live in alignment with your deepest values. When your pursuit of wealth is connected to purpose, everything changes. The morning practices become charged with meaning. The visualization becomes vivid with vision. The actions become motivated by mission. You are not just trying to get rich. You're trying to become fully resourced for your unique contribution. What is your purpose? Why do you really want the wealth you say you want? If you dig beneath the surface desires for comfort and security and status, What is the deeper why? For some people, it is freedom, the ability to structure their days according to their own values rather than someone else's demands. The capacity to say no to work that drains them and yes to work that fulfills them. For some people, it is family. The opportunity to provide experiences and education and security for the people they love most. The ability to be present rather than perpetually stressed about money. For some people, it is impact. The resources to fund causes they believe in. The platform to spread ideas that matter. The capability to solve problems at a scale their current resources do not allow. For some people, it is creative expression. The freedom to pursue art or music or writing without the constant pressure of monetization. The ability to create from inspiration rather than desperation. What is it for you? What would you do with true financial freedom? Not just the purchases, but the life. How would you spend your time? What would you create? Who would you help? What legacy would you leave? Get clear on this. Write it down. Make it vivid and specific. This is not just a nice exercise. This is essential fuel for your transformation. When the practices feel tedious and the progress feels slow, your purpose will carry you forward. When doubt creeps in and old patterns tempt you back, your vision will hold you steady. Wealth without purpose often leads to more problems than poverty. Studies consistently show that lottery winners report lower life satisfaction than they had before winning. Not because money is bad, but because money without meaning amplifies emptiness. But wealth with purpose creates possibility beyond measure. It allows the teacher to become an educational reformer. It allows the artist to become a cultural force. It allows the healer to become a movement. It transforms individual capability into collective impact. This is the invitation. Not just to become wealthy, but to become wealthy for a reason. Not just to accumulate, but to contribute. Not just to have, but to give. Not just to receive, but to flow. The universe seems to support this orientation. When your desire for wealth is connected to purpose larger than yourself, doors open more easily. Opportunities appear more frequently. Resources flow more freely. It is as if life itself wants to fund your mission and tests your readiness by examining your intentions. So connect your wealth work to your why. Every morning when you visualize, see not just the numbers, but the impact those numbers enable. Every evening when you reflect, notice not just your financial wins, but the purpose those wins serve. Let your accumulation be animated by aspiration. Let your prosperity be powered by purpose. This is wealth consciousness in its highest form, not greed dressed up as abundance, not selfishness pretending to be spirituality. Genuine alignment between material resources and meaningful contribution. A life where having and giving become the same motion. I want to also address the people around you as you make this transformation. Your journey will inevitably affect your relationships. Some people will celebrate your growth. Others will feel threatened by it. When you start thinking differently about money, speaking differently about possibility, and acting from expanded identity, you become a mirror for others. Some will look in that mirror and feel inspired. They will be curious about what you are doing. They will want to learn. They will rise with you. Others will look in that mirror and feel confronted. Your growth highlights their stagnation. Your expansion reveals their contraction. Rather than examining themselves, they will try to shrink you back to comfortable familiarity. They will mock your new practices. They will express concern about your unrealistic expectations. They will tell you to be careful, be practical, be reasonable. Know this in advance so it does not surprise you. The people who resist your transformation are not bad people. They are scared people. Scared that if you change, the relationship will change. Scared that if you grow, you might outgrow them. Scared that your success will expose their fear of trying. Have compassion for these people. Do not argue with them. Do not try to convince them. Simply continue on your path and let your results speak. Over time, some will come around. They will see your transformation bearing fruit and become curious rather than critical. Others will fade from your life as you naturally gravitate toward people who support your growth. This is okay. Relationships are meant to evolve. Not every person who was right for you at one stage will be right at the next. Holding on to relationships that require you to stay small is its own form of scarcity thinking. Abundance includes the willingness to release what no longer serves and trust that new connections will emerge. Build a support system for your wealth journey. This might include a mastermind group of like-minded individuals all working on their financial expansion. It might include a coach or mentor who has achieved what you are pursuing. It might include authors and teachers you follow through books and podcasts and courses. It might include a partner or close friend who champions your growth even when it is uncomfortable. You cannot do this alone. Or rather, you can, but it is much harder. Humans are social creatures. We are shaped by our environment. If your environment is full of people who think like you used to think, maintaining your new programming requires constant effort against the current. If your environment includes people who think like you want to think, maintaining your programming becomes effortless because the current carries you. Be deliberate about who you spend time with. Not ruthless, not cold, deliberate. Increase exposure to people who elevate you. Decrease exposure to people who deflate you. Let your social environment become an extension of your morning practice, constantly reinforcing the identity you are becoming. And as you grow, pay it forward. Become for others what you needed when you started. Share what you have learned. Support those who are where you were, not from superiority, but from genuine desire to help. The best way to solidify your own transformation is to help others transform. Teaching is learning at a deeper level. Giving is receiving in disguised form. This creates a virtuous cycle. You grow. Your growth helps others grow. Their growth reinforces your identity as someone who creates growth. That reinforced identity drives further expansion. The cycle compounds indefinitely. This is how individual transformation becomes collective evolution. One person changes their mind about money. They affect their family, their friends, their colleagues. Those people affect their circles. Ripples spread outward from a single shift in consciousness. You might think your personal financial transformation is a small thing. It is not. It is a revolutionary act. Every person who breaks free from scarcity programming weakens the hold of scarcity thinking on the collective. Every person who demonstrates that beliefs create results teaches others that they too have power over their circumstances. Every person who moves from financial fear to financial freedom expands what everyone believes is possible. You are not just doing this for yourself. You are doing this for everyone your life touches. You are doing this for your children who will inherit your money consciousness. You are doing this for your community that will be shaped by your contribution. You are doing this for the collective human story that includes your chapter. Let this larger context motivate you when individual gains seem insufficient. Let this broader purpose sustain you when personal progress seems slow. You are part of something bigger than your bank account. Your transformation matters beyond your personal benefit. As we come to the true close of our time together, I want to acknowledge something important. This audiobook is ending, but your journey is just beginning. The insights you have gained are seeds. Whether they grow into a forest of abundance or wither from neglect depends entirely on what you do next. Most people who consume personal development content feel inspired in the moment and forget within days. They collect insights without implementing them. They understand intellectually without transforming actually. They know what to do, but do not do what they know. I do not want this for you. I want your experience with this audiobook to be different. I want you to look back on this moment as the genuine turning point, the before and after, the line in the sand. To make that happen, you need to take immediate action. Not tomorrow, not next week, today, right now. Before the inspiration fades and old patterns reassert themselves. So here is what I want you to do. Within the next hour, commit to 3 specific actions. First, identify your primary limiting belief about money, the one that feels most true and most constraining. Write it down. Look at it. Recognize it as programming, not reality. Then write the abundant replacement belief directly below it. Second, set an alarm for tomorrow morning 15 minutes earlier than you normally wake. That 15 minutes is your new wealth ritual time. Guard it. Use it for intention, visualization, gratitude, and identity affirmation. Do this every morning for the next 90 days without exception. Third, tell someone what you are doing. Not someone who will mock you, someone who will support you. Tell them you are beginning a 90-day transformation of your money mindset. Ask them to check in with you weekly. Accountability dramatically increases follow-through. These 3 actions take less than 30 minutes total, but they establish the foundation for everything that follows. They prove to yourself that you are serious. They create structures that support your continued growth. They transform abstract intention into concrete commitment. If you take these actions, you will be different in 90 days. Guaranteed. Not because this audiobook is magic, but because consistent practice always produces results. The only question is whether you will practice. I believe you will. I believe you are ready for a different financial life. I believe your bank account is about to start telling a different story, and I believe that story begins right now with the choice you make in this moment. Choose growth, choose abundance, choose yourself. The wealth mindset is not something you acquire. It is something you become, and you are becoming it right now. As you listen to these final words, feel the shift happening within you. Feel the old beliefs loosening their grip. Feel the new possibilities expanding in your awareness. Feel the identity of wealth taking root in your being. This is your moment. This is your transformation. This is your new beginning. Go forward with confidence. Go forward with purpose. Go forward with the unshakable knowledge that your thoughts create your reality. And you have just upgraded your thoughts. Your upgraded reality is on its way. Receive it with open arms. You deserve it. You have done the work. Now watch as the mirror reflects your new image, and the wealth mindset is yours. Forever. starting now. One more thing before we part. I want to speak directly to the part of you that might still be doubting, the part that has heard everything I have said and still wonders if it will really work for you, the part that thinks maybe this works for other people, but my situation is different. I see that part of you. I honor that part. It has been protecting you from disappointment for a long time. It has kept your expectations low, so you would not be hurt. It has kept you realistic, so you would not be called foolish. But now, I need you to gently set that protective part aside. Not forever, just for 90 days. Just long enough to give these principles a genuine test. Tell that doubting part that it can come back in 90 days if the experiment fails. But for now, you need space to try something new. Because here is what that doubting part does not know. It does not know what is possible because it has only seen what has been. It extrapolates from history without accounting for the variable that changes everything: consciousness. When consciousness shifts, history stops repeating. When beliefs change, patterns break. When identity transforms, results transform. The doubting part cannot predict this because it has never experienced it. It only knows the old you operating with the old programming. But you are not the old you anymore. You have new awareness. You have new tools. You have new understanding. The doubting part is giving you advice based on outdated information. Its predictions no longer apply. This is why faith is necessary at the beginning. Not because the process is magical or irrational, because the doubting mind cannot conceive of results it has never seen. You have to act before the evidence is complete. You have to believe before the proof is present. You have to move before the path is fully visible. Then, as you walk, the path appears. As you act, the evidence accumulates. As you believe, the proof presents itself. What seemed like faith becomes fact. What seemed like hope becomes history. What seemed impossible becomes obviously inevitable. This is what awaits you. Not guaranteed riches without effort, but guaranteed transformation through consistent practice. Not magical checks appearing from nowhere, but genuine opportunities emerging from expanded perception. Not instant wealth from listening to one audiobook, but lasting abundance from applying what you have learned. You can do this. Not because I say so, because it is simply how consciousness works. Change your mind, change your words, change your feelings, change your identity, and watch the external world rush to reflect your internal reality. It has no choice. It is a mirror, and you have just painted a new image for it to show. Stand back, watch what appears, and remember this moment, the moment everything changed, the moment you stopped wishing and started becoming, the moment the wealth mindset became yours. Right now, right here, in this breath, you are wealthy. Act like it, think like it, speak like it, be it, and so it is, and so you are, and so your new life begins. Thank you for this journey. Now go live what you have learned. The world is waiting for the wealthy you. Do not keep it waiting any longer. Remember these truths as you move forward. Your bank account is a receipt of your thoughts. Your income has a ceiling you can raise. Your money story was inherited but can be rewritten. Scarcity and abundance are operating systems you choose. Your thermostat determines your financial range. Language shapes reality. Emotion precedes manifestation. Gratitude multiplies what you appreciate. Fear points toward growth. Identity determines results. Environment shapes possibility. Rituals create lasting change. Giving and receiving complete the cycle. These are not theories. They are tools. Use them daily. Use them consistently. Use them even when you do not feel like it. Especially when you do not feel like it. Your transformation is not optional. It is inevitable. The only question is timing. Will you transform now, through deliberate practice, or will you transform later, through accumulated pain? Growth happens either way. Consciousness is always evolving. You are simply choosing the conscious path, rather than waiting for life to force the change upon you. This is wisdom. This is power. This is the wealth mindset in action. Go now. Create the life your soul came here to live. Accumulate the resources your purpose requires. Become the person your potential is calling you to be. The path is clear. The tools are in your hands. The moment is now. This is your time. This is your transformation. This is your new financial reality, emerging from the depth of your being into the world of form. Welcome it. Embrace it. Live it. You are the wealth you seek. Now let the world see what you have always known. This audiobook has ended. Your journey has just begun. Go with abundance. Go with purpose. Go with the unshakable confidence that comes from knowing who you truly are. A being of infinite worth, capable of infinite creation, destined for infinite abundance. This is your truth. Now make it your reality.